Now, Babaji, what we want to ask you, for the sake of the people in England who haven't the opportunity to come, if you will tell us, really, what... Who haven't the opportunity to come, if you will tell us, really, what is the fundamental principle of life which man should follow? How is the true life for man on this earth?
There is this body. To maintain the body, one should know the right activities. These right activities should be selected and performed without any commission and omission. Another thing is, there is mind. Mind is ruled by emotions. Mind should be ruled by reason. Calmness must prevail in the mind. A third thing is, the rest of the time should be utilized for meditating on God, to know the meaning of God or to see God personally. This is the method of life.
And then could I ask first about this duty? Does this itself have different forms, or is it just connected only with the body?
It is connected with the body only.
And does that duty then only concern looking after one's own body, or is there responsibility also in one's duty towards other people as well?
Yes, towards our own home, towards our society, and towards the nation also. Yes.
This is the second duty, is it?
Duty, whole duty.
Yes.
One duty concerning body.
Yes.
Another duty obligatory towards the home, society, etc.
Yes.
A third duty professional.
Does that third duty, the professional duty, depend for each man upon what capacities and powers he has?
Yes.
And he must study those.
Yes.
Is it through his parents and teachers that a boy learns this, or does he have to learn it by his own intelligence?
By the combination of both. Parents and teachers should be the guide. He should be the agent.
Because is it then, this professional duty, I suppose, begins when he reaches the age, of 18 or 20 or something like that?
When he reaches the age of 5.
Of 5?
Yes. Yes.
Does reason exist already at 5 years old?
But before reason comes, this is good to be established. Yes.
But how can one possibly tell with a young child what capacities he has?
The teacher should live the life of an young boy. The young boy will imitate him, and he will know it.
And then as regards this first kind of duty, the bodily, this purely physical duty towards one's own body, you mean things like eating and sleeping and so on?
Yes, all this. Eating should be just for the maintenance of the body. Sleeping should be just for the maintenance of the body. In the same way, this cleanliness, and seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, spitting, passing urine, various duties there,
yes.
Taking bath, everything.
Yes.
All these duties should be fixed in time and done without any mistake.
And should this be taught to children?
Yes.
You mean, for example, with my own children, should I tell them you have to observe to eat correctly and not to eat too much and so on, or should I tell them how much they should eat?
You should tell them. Yes. You should explain them clearly these things.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
and at the same time, when they eat, when they do these duties, where they go wrong, you will have to find out those things to them. Yes.
So that from childhood, a man or a boy or a girl should be all the time preparing so that his duties become quite clear to him when he is...
Yes, yes.
And for the people who haven't had this fortune to be prepared in that way, then they have to learn it in afterlife.
Yes. Yes.
And as regards the other duty now, the one towards one's society, this is always a tendency that one does this from one's heart and one's feelings. One loves one's family and one's children, but you say this should be done from reason.
Yes.
Where does reason come from?
By experience. By experience reason comes.
You mean by putting one experience against another experience, confronting, you mean?
No.
Because just by experience alone it doesn't come if one doesn't...
Now suppose I ask you to prepare tea.
Yes.
You prepare it. There may be some mistakes, the real taste will not come. There will be more sugar,
yes,
or more tea,
yes,
or art of boiling may be wrong. Ingredients may be wrong. Today you make, you taste it. The right thing has not come. Find out the mistake today. Tomorrow remedy it.
yes.
Another mistake may come. Remedy it day after tomorrow. In this way, go on preparing that one thing for a long time. You will get the correct taste one day. Then maintain that correct taste. This is reason.
That is very, very, yes, indeed, yes.
In the same way, each and every duty should be studied. Till we come to the right answer, these duties should be repeated. By the observation of today, tomorrow you will have to begin again, yes, in a new way.
Yes.
What is wrong today, you must know.
That is what our teacher used to say, with the present, repair the past and
yes,
prepare the future.
Yes, exactly, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, sir.
You remember Mr. Gurdjieff used to say that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Is it convincing?
Very convincing, yes. Then this applies to all these three duties, the duty towards one's physical body, the duty towards one's social environment, family, and
now,
so on.
What we must do to our family, we must do. Suppose we fail there, their affection will be less for us. If we do according to their requirement, they will be heartened much.
Yes.
And they will begin to love us more and more.
And that is good.
Yes. In the same way about neighbors also.
Yes.
We should be very helpful to them. We should never be harmful to them.
Yes.
They will always be eternal friends.
Yes.
Whenever we are in difficulty, they will come and help us. So also in professional duty, highest wealth will come, wealth. Other things will roll on.
And all that really concerns only that a man should have a normal, well-balanced life on the earth.
Yes.
This is just a foundation.
Yes.
Now, what has to be built on that foundation?
And this is separate in itself.
Yes.
When this is done, one will have a very healthy body. One will have useful friends to help.
Yes.
And one will have sufficient wealth and material to live on.
Yes.
And life will be very pleasant.
But man doesn't live for pleasure.
But one should not live for pleasure. But if it comes, it should not be rejected also.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I see.
Pleasure will give satisfaction.
Yes.
Yes.
Then what is the, after these duties, what prepares in man the necessary qualifications to come to the spiritual life?
That is to be separately.
How does man acquire these qualifications?
Now he should know that God is to be seen. Then only life will be all right.
Yes.
Or the meaning of life is to be known.
Yes.
Then only one can be happy here.
Yes.
To know that meaning or to see God, his thought should always center around that one subject. Every other subject must vanish from the mind.
Mm-hmm. But can man do that without some degree of moral perfection?
Moral perfection is totally certain. It is mostly essential.
It is essential.
Essential.
Does this come simply by wanting God, or does it come by discipline and self-correction?
One should not yield to liking and disliking.
Mm-hmm.
One should not have any other desire other than this.
Yes.
Living this life or finding out to God.
Yes.
Then this lower nature should not play in the mind. anger and various other things.
They belong to our lower nature.
Yes. Higher nature should be perfectly established. Just like fearlessness, straightforwardness. Such a higher nature should be cultivated in the mind. Opposite nature should be eliminated from the mind.
And is this by a practice of self-correction or self-discipline? How is this? That what I observe...
Simply seeing our behavior.
Yes.
If behavior is wrong, one should determine, no, such a behavior should not be. This should be the behavior.
Yes.
Today anger came, tomorrow it should not come.
Yes. In thought, in word and in deed, in all three.
Yes. This moral discipline is only in thought.
Oh.
It is physical, and physical is in action. And
you mean one has to conquer anger in one's thoughts? It's not sufficient. It is no use to try to conquer it by one's actions.
No, it will not be.
If I have angry thoughts, it is not enough to stop my angry words, because the thoughts are still there, and the thoughts come before the action.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. This is the same as the Christian teaching.
Yes. One should consider all the creation the image of God, the manifestation of God. One should always be humble, humiliated before that. When such thoughts are established, anger will not come.
No, it is true.
Yes.
Yes.
Where does this tiresome lower nature come from? Is it something we are growing out of?
No, it is inside the mind. It is the contents. It is the contents of the mind.
But where does it? Did God make man like
we
this?
Cultivate.
We cultivate.
When we cultivate, the grains come up.
Yes.
The weeds also come along with them.
Yes.
How we take out all those weeds and keep only that green. In the same way, this bad nature and good nature, they are the ingredients of the mind. They come up automatically when occasions come. We will have to suppress their coming, or they should come under our control. They should not come and control us.
But who are we then?
I.
Yes. When I say that we shouldn't allow, I shouldn't allow this, then I must have I.
Yes.
But
the spirit, Purush, what we call.
The man inside.
Yes.
Yes. And this is what should grow strong in us.
Yes.
And this grows strong by rejecting the lower and turning to the higher. This is how this becomes strong.
Yes.
So that when this, as it were, man in the mind, or the person in the mind, the Purusha in the mind, when this grows, develops by this action of rejecting and accepting, that is what you call a strong mind, is it?
Yes. Yes.
And then...
Suppose there is a servant for you. You leave everything to the servant. He is doing everything as he likes. He orders you. Then that means you become powerless before him.
Yes.
Unruly servant.
Yes. Now you keep a servant, you order him, do this thing in this way. And you control him. Mind is the servant. Mind is doing everything. Mind controls this Purush man.
Yes.
That should not be allowed. You are intelligent. Now these points I speak, very, very small points I speak. This is to be elaborated by explanation.
Yes, yes. But it is very valuable what you're telling us, and will give people a start. Then could you now tell us something about the really fundamental thing, that is, how do we come to the knowledge of God? Because it is all for that, isn't it?
When we do these duties properly, when we stand there meditating on God, automatically one day comes, without our knowledge.
Yes. But then that means...
How the fruit comes in a tree, we cultivate a seed. we manual it and give it water, one day the fruit automatically comes in the same.
So the duties are like a gardener who looks after the garden.
Yes.
And the Purusha really should be like a good gardener.
Yes.
But it is not the gardener who makes the tree grow, it is God who makes it grow.
Yes.
And it is like that inside us also.
Yes.
And this little by little prepares something in man which will have the power to be able to stand and see God one day.
Yes. Yes.
Because
what one wishes, that he gets. This is the truth of the nature of the creation. If you wish God, you will get a God.
But Babaji, that is the difficulty, is to wish strongly enough. I think this is difficult for Westerners, you know, to get...
As you say, it is among the Western civilization, it is said, without God, life is intolerable. That thought was to come.
Yes.
Then one will go beyond that.
Yes.
Before that.
Yes.
He will get it.
Yes.
This, just I want it. Yes. This will must be there. That's all.
Yes.
Yes. It will come. One is not willing for this.
That is true.
One is willing for the pleasures of life.
That's it. That's what I tried to
Yes.
say, yes.
One should not will for the pleasures of God. What comes out of our action, so much pleasure one should enjoy, not more. Yes. One should always wish to see God. God must come. This very moment I must have God.
Yes.
Life should become intolerable without God.
But we just have an idea, but we do not understand the whole.
But when we see, then only we can know.
Yes.
I quite understand that, but I do
Let
not...
this idea remain. That is sufficient.
We can, of course, everyone can see that everything is perishable. Whatever we have, we shall lose. And whatever is today will be changed tomorrow. Everyone wants what is imperishable.
Yes.
Only because the imperishable can't be seen, it is more difficult. So that all the time our attention is taken by what is visible and perishable.
Yes.
And it is difficult to bring our attention back to the invisible and imperishable.
That is why in Gita it is said,
That is...
the very thing is spoken in our Gita, Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
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 Janma Murtyu Jara Vyadi. You understand?
Yes.
There is life, there is death,
Yes.
there are disease,
Yes.
there are shames
Yes.
and various
Yes.
other things.
Yes.
One should think of these things and reduce the love of life.
Yes.
Yes.
You know the story of Nachiketas,
Yes.
when he goes
That
and
is
asks
it.
Death to answer his questions, and Death said, I give you everything, life, happiness, and so on. He said, I don't want these.
Yes. That is it. Whatever is offered to him, he rejects.
Yes,
He says, tell me what happens after death.
yes,
Two things spoil people. One thing is fear. When we go on thinking of these things, some danger may come, and we think that we are about to die now, or we are to lose this and that. This fear will retrace the people. Let any fear come, one should not retrace his steps. In the case of Buddha,
yes,
when he determined for God and remained under a tree, first various evil spirits came before him, Maras, what they
yes,
call.
yes,
And they began to hurl big stones and mountains and fires, everything over him. He kept it steady. He did not fear. Then when fear is gone, then there is temptation. You will get various things, various powers, other things will come. Afterwards, various beautiful girls, etc., came and played before him.
Yes.
Buddha.
yes,
They wanted to tempt him with various things, just like this Nachiketa.
yes,
Remove, I require nothing. Let the three world be mine. No use for them. I want only God. Then this temptation also will leave you. At once God will stand before you.
You see, when we are in front of you, Babaji, it is easy. Then we only want God. But when we're in the middle of the world, then it is not so easy.
But when you will begin to practice this,
it will be
yes. It will be all this.
I believe. Shivapuri Baba, these two ladies wanted to ask some questions so that perhaps their doubts and difficulties could be helped.
Yes.
We are sisters. This is my younger sister. I am the elder.
Yes.
We both feel we want to understand more about our duty towards life, what we are here for, and how we are to understand it in our present state. I can look back on a long life. I'm not a young woman, as you see. I've had many, many things happen to me. I have always questioned and wanted to understand the great mysteries of why I was here, and I have received much help from many teachers, Mr. Gurdjieff, Mr. Uspensky, and now Subud Bapak. But always I feel that my questions are not really answered. I do not really understand either my duty or what I should look forward to or what I should be doing.
Now, so to say, there is smell in this flower. Can I explain that smell?
Please.
I cannot explain. However I explain, you cannot know the smell. If I give this in your hand, if you smell it, you know what the smell of this is. Is it not so?
Yes.
In the same way, I can never answer your questions. Your questions will be answered only by God. See Him first. Every mystery is solved. Before that, whatever answer I can give you, it will not solve your problem. The first thing is reach God. By seeing God, everything is known.
How can we do that?
Think of God alone. Dismiss every other thought from your mind. You will see God.
That is very difficult for
It is difficult but not impossible. It is not impossible. It is difficult, I do know. But if you take so much difficult trouble in removing that difficulty, all the difficulties in life will go. In an operation, we feel a little bit more strained feeling. But as soon as the operation is over, all the pains are gone. Unless we see God, we cannot know anything. Before the sun comes, we can see nothing on the ground. When the sun comes, we see everything. So the presence of God. When we know God, we know everything. Before that, a simple explanation is no explanation. I can say this is sweet smelling. But how many flowers are there which have got sweet smelling? What is the nature of this smell? Unless you smell it, you cannot know. One can experience, but it can never be explained. Let the thought of God be alone in your mind. Destroy every other thought. You will see God before you, and all your problems are solved. This is the first business. Now, unless you live a disciplined life, this meditation is not possible. There is this body. You should know the requirements of this body. You will have to hear, you will have to sleep, you will have to see, you will have to taste, you will have to spit, you will have to breathe. 1,000 activities are there in this body. All these activities are to be controlled and commanded. How much meals, how much sleep, what to see, what to hear, all these should be controlled and commanded. This is one duty. Another duty is our obligation towards the home, society, nation, etc. Find out the number of duties there we have to do. A third duty is Without material wealth we cannot do these things. For that a professional duty. These are the duties one has got to do. These duties should be found out and planned properly. Without any failure, without any commission and omission, these duties are to be performed. Then life becomes steady. In this steady life, meditation is very easy. How your body is covered by this cloth. If that cloth is removed, you see, I can see your body. In the same way, we are covered by consciousness. God is beyond consciousness. Forget this consciousness a moment, you will see God in a flash. First, what you have got to do is discipline this life. Then meditate on God. When you see God, every problem is solved. How to see God, I can tell you. How to solve your problem, that I cannot say.
Can you tell us a little more how to see God? This has been a great difficulty because...
This duty, you understand now? Duty of the body.
Yes, I think I see that.
Yes, these duties you will have to plan. This is one. This is what we call physical discipline. A second duty is, there is mind. Mind is wild. Various passions, various thoughts are playing in the mind. Now, these passions, these thoughts are all to be removed from the mind. One should not yield to liking and disliking. One should have no other desire except seeing God. One should destroy the lower nature. One should cultivate the higher nature. This is moral discipline. Then mind becomes very strong. In that strong mind, when you finish these duties, you can meditate on God. Either your mind should remain with these duties, or it should remain with God. It should have no other place. This is the way of life today.
What are the characteristics of the higher nature that one should turn to?
What is this life?
What qualities for the higher nature?
That the other day,
yes.
It is written to you.
Yes.
You will have to explain them. Huh?
Yes.
Many natures. Fearlessness is one nature.
Yeah.
Yes, fear is a lower nature. Fearlessness is another nature, is the higher nature. Crookedness is a lower nature. Straightforwardness is the higher nature. Like this, there are some 32 natures. It is written to you.
Yes.
You will have to explain those things to them. Yes. Those natures are to be incorporated in one.
In one's mind?
Yes. Then mind becomes strong. One should have no liking. One should have no disliking. Reason must prevail. Suppose you like me, you will give me anything. Suppose you hate me, you will give me nothing. This is under the influence of liking and disliking. Under the influence of reason, what you will do, you will see whether I deserve or not. Suppose I am your enemy, still if I deserve, you will give me. Suppose I am your friend, if I do not deserve, you won't give me. This is the direction of reason. This reason must always prevail. This liking and disliking must perish.
Very difficult.
Difficult, but a practice a decay. I can give you a decay's time, 10 to 12 years. One can become perfect in this.
And fear too. Fear very important to me.
Yes.
Very important to you particularly.
You know, many of these things, you will have to explain very clearly these things to them.
Is there something more?
I was
Yes,
going
you
to
want
ask you, please, about Subud, because we are rather disturbed amongst the people in Subud that it has not at present made for more unity amongst us. And why is this? Is this just a phase that we go through? Or is it something we can expect, perhaps?
I could not understand well.
No.
You know that we are practicing this method of meditation, which is called Subud, which is latihan, which is simply emptying one's mind and turning only towards God.
Yes.
So it is good practice, but at the same time, we find that people who practice this, instead of developing the charities in the way that we would expect them to do, that by this they don't develop the charities, and people begin to be quarreling with each other or not understanding each other. And the question is it a different discipline to develop the charities from this practice of meditation? Is it necessary intentionally to practice the charities?
Yes.
They don't come by themselves.
Unless it is owing to this no practice of moral discipline, these things happen.
Yes, you see what he said.
Yes.
Because you try to do meditation without moral discipline.
That is it. Practice moral discipline, then it is very easy, these charities, etc.
Yes.
Yes.
But meditation is not...
Before you study chemistry, you cannot study medicine.
No.
Before you study mathematics, you cannot study engineering. So before you practice this moral discipline, it is not possible to have this
true meditation.
Yes.
Yes.
Now I sit here. If this seat will go on vibrating, I cannot sit properly.
Yes.
It should be steady.
Yes.
Meditation is through mind. If mind is shaking, one cannot meditate properly. In a pool of water you look, your face is seen there. But throw a stone or something, when there are waves, your image is not found there. So, when there is disliking, anger, various other natures in the mind, meditation is not possible.
But yet, we are told that by the practice of the meditation, by the practice of the latihan, the mind will become steady automatically, because then it submits itself to the power of God, and the power of God will make the mind steady.
That is a fancy saying. Yes. To a certain extent, of course, mind will become, but not practically. Yes.
So in practice, the discipline is always necessary.
Necessary.
Yes.
When there is no cause, you will be quiet.
Yes.
When some causes come, that quietness will break, you will come forward with your original nature.
Yes, it's how it is, isn't
Exactly
it?
what happens.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is exactly what
Yes.
happens. This is exactly what happens.
Yes. When there will be no wind, the leaves will be steady.
Yes.
When there is a little bit wind, they will begin to shake. So it is when anything will go against you or will come in favor of you, this quietness will break.
Yes. Unless you have discipline.
Yes. Unless those virtues are well practiced,
Yes.
this meditation will not give fruit.
So that the mind must be made strong by our own intentional efforts.
Yes.
And then with that strong mind, then we can meditate, and in that, then it is not our effort anymore. This comes from God after.
Yes, yes. Before, along with making the mind strong, body also should be made strong.
Yes.
If we eat more or less, health is gone. If we sleep more or less, health is gone. If we hear, see unwanted things,
Yes.
everywhere there is trouble.
Yes.
Various pictures will come into the mind.
Yes.
Remove every other subject. Such practice or practices are essential in the beginning.
Yes.
Yes. Or simultaneously practice these three disciplines.
You knew about the four charities, did you? Did you hear what
Yes,
this is
when
here?
you,
Yes.
yes.
I told them when I came back about these.
Yes.
These also should be
They will
practiced.
help very much.
Yes.
Along with pray also. Pray also will help. Praying.
According to our religion, too.
Yes. These charities are most important, these four kinds of charities.
And they make the mind good and strong.
Yes,
and virtuous.
they are the allies of the mind, to make the mind strong. Yes.
This point, a family party came to say goodbye to the Shivapuri Baba. There were 4 Indians from Delhi. I think it was a grandfather, the father and mother and a young boy. They all came in and spoken a few words. The Shivapuri Baba, they went away, and after that I began to read to him the questions that had been asked by the group in London. We can hear during this conversation with the Shivapuri Baba some of the noises of the wood, mostly the sounds of birds. Once or twice I heard the distant chattering of the monkeys, and then you probably also heard an aeroplane going overhead, taking off from the airport, which is very close to the wood where he lives now. The first question was from an old gentleman, Mr. Kaminsky, who said, what value has art compared with charity? Because through beautiful things, through music and paintings, we feel ourselves drawn towards God. Is art therefore something valuable for man, or is it, what position has it got?
One is never drawn to God by art and music. One is drawn to beauty only. Yes. One is never drawn to God.
And doesn't it lift up the soul, the art?
No. It will give you excellent beauty of God's.
But its beauty comes from God also.
But now you see it from a little distance.
Yes.
This is beautiful. Can you have the smell?
No.
In the same way, the beauty of God you can know, but God you cannot know by art and music.
But doesn't the beauty draw you to God?
But what is still a great distance. Yes.
Then you think that from the point of view of coming to knowledge of God, the art is no longer valuable for me.
Not only valuable, harmful also. Harmful. Yes. Mind will not empty all its contents. Yes. The more beautiful, far away from God. Yes. Ugliness and beauty both must vanish from the mind.
But is there not some art that seems much higher than others? Sometimes I have seen things like the Sphinx, or even the Taj Mahal, or the Elephanta Caves with the great Trimurti, and that seems to appeal to another side of
But
life.
at that time, you see, you forget God, that beauty only prevails in you.
Yes, I see.
Yes. The essential things are forgotten.
Very interesting. Yes.
Well,
Individuality is forgotten. God is forgotten. That beauty only prevails in you at that time. What is the advantage here? Every troubles of the world is gone. One is very happy here. That's all. Unhappiness of this world is not felt.
But sometimes with art one feels, because when it represents the unhappiness of the world, for example in some religious subject, this reminds one also of the sufferings of the world.
No, only beauty. Actually analyze and see, only beauty prevails in the mind.
That is important.
The next question was from Miss Woodward. She said that her difficulty was to understand what is the right balance between concern for her own personal salvation, to come to for herself to the knowledge of God, and concern with the sufferings of the world and the difficulty and our duty of service in the world towards the general needs and feeling of compassion for mankind. What is the right balance between these?
Let these things wait. First go to God. When one sees God, then one can take to these things. First enter the kingdom of God. Everything can be added towards that. For the present, one cannot help oneself. What help one can give to another?
Yes, yes, very true. Yes.
That is it.
Yes.
Suppose you want to do some help, still here there is in these duties there is a chance.
Yes.
Because one's obligatory duty towards home and society, etc., little bit one can give, according to one's capacity.
And one should stay within the limits of that.
Yes, that's all. If you want to do good for the whole humanity, be it till the knowledge and power comes.
There's one other lady, Mrs. Furnace, whose husband died a little time ago, and they were very much united, and their love for each other was stronger, I think, they say, than anything else. Now that her husband has died, her mind is always unhappy, and she can't meditate and can't find peace. So she says, can one know in any way what happens after death so that one's mind can have peace to meditate?
That also, before seeing God, it is not possible. Yes.
But if one hasn't got peace of mind, one can't meditate.
But peace of mind is not there because the virtues are not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When the virtues will come, there will be peace of mind.
Therefore, it is by moral discipline that one comes
Yes.
to peace of mind. From peace of mind, one comes to knowledge of God.
Yes.
And then these questions are answered.
Yes.
Yes, I understand. The next was from one young man who said this, that he'd heard about your duties, the three duties, and he quite saw that this is right and proper for man, but that, for example, you speak about the moral discipline to be free from like and dislike. But he says, I cannot. If I try to be free towards somebody that I dislike, I am not free. Is there any way by which I can be shown how to get this freedom from like and dislike?
Like and dislike is the defect of man. Unless it is removed, one cannot go to God. This understanding must come. Yes.
It means through understanding, one realizes that this is an obstacle and one will never find one's goal.
Yes.
And then, from that understanding, little by little, the like and dislike will disappear.
Yes. Yes.
The next question was from Mrs. Cairns Williamson, who said the meditation, because we must come before we see God, therefore we need faith for it. How can we have this faith? From what does faith come?
Because I am existing, you are existing, the world is existing. Where from all these things came? From this very existence one should have faith. Yes. No other way. There is this existence. What is this?
That is very helpful.
Yes. There should be something behind this.
If we have the question, there must be an answer, you mean?
That is so.
Yes.
Yes.
So if we are able to ask the question, why do I exist? There must be some reason why I exist.
Yes.
And for that, because I believe there is a reason, I have faith.
Yes.
Yes, I understand.
There is this thing we see. We must have faith that there is a rose flower in the world.
Yes.
We see. Now, to prove your existence, what proof can be given? Because I see you, that itself is the proof.
Yes.
No other proof is possible.
No.
This very existence,
Yes.
what is this? There is a creator of all these things. Or there is a truth behind this existence. One should believe it. Yes.
The next question was from a lady, Mrs. Davies, who is very good for charity, and she does very much to help people, and she prays very much, and she says that sometimes she prays for people who are in some trouble, or perhaps with her own trouble. Sometimes help comes, sometimes help doesn't come. If one sincerely asks for help, perhaps for some other person without any egoistic reason, and it doesn't come, is this because one didn't have enough faith, or that one asked from the wrong place in oneself, or perhaps did help come and we just were blind and couldn't see it?
You see, because it is from wrong places, either wrong persons or wrong events. One of these will be the reason. Yes.
In the wrong situation, you mean?
In the wrong situation. Either the persons may be wrong, individuals, or the event may be wrong. Yes.
Then Mrs. Arnold Thompson asked, how is it that man is so dominated now by his thinking, and so that his mind becomes weak from too much mental activity? How has man come into this situation, especially the Western man?
Because by his own habit. Suppose your habit is to eat more. Disease automatically comes. Now remove that habit of eating more. That will go. You are, yes, one is more engaged in life. Extra love is given for life. Extra prominence is given to life. And that is why it happens. Give proper.
And then there won't be such exaggeration of thinking.
Yes. More liking. Proportion is more.
Because then this leads to the next question of Mr. Stubbings. He spoke about about the disciplines that you recommended, and he says that you know what are the conditions of Western life now. There are so many pressures of life and activity, and everyone is busy all the time. Is there any way that you would recommend for Western people in their conditions of life by which they can specially follow a discipline that will lead them?
Conditions of life everywhere the same for all. One should take to this discipline. That discipline itself will give chance.
But in a village you have more peace than in a city.
But there also there is pressure. There is pressure there also, even in the village.
In the forest then?
You see, mind is always filled up with various thoughts and other things. Oh, empty the mind. Even in the busiest life, one is free. Yes, mind is crowded.
But does this mean that for everyone the disciplines are the same? For example, in a family there may be two brothers in the same family and with the same education, and yet their spiritual natures can be very different.
Yes.
And if those two brothers should perhaps not follow exactly the same way. One is right for one brother, another is right for another brother.
Yes. That is the nature of the world.
And so you have to come to know your own nature. Is that what it is?
Yes. One's own nature one must know and improve that very nature.
And that belongs to the duties, does it?
Yes. Yes.
Because you said to us that these habits are formed, because Mrs. King asked this question, that if when you are in childhood you don't develop moral disciplines, afterwards it will be very difficult to come to meditation, and therefore the parents have that responsibility. And you said also, you remember, to my wife about it, to teach discrimination to the children. If this hasn't been taught, does this mean there is afterwards no hope for these people?
But still it is possible. When you know it today, try to practice from today. It is possible. Yes.
So it is not, one can't say it's too late. If one has desire to come to God, it is not too late.
Not too late. Yes.
Then there are two other questions here, both from young men, one called Tony Hodgson, the other Tony Blake. They say the young people of the world are very much distressed about the future. They don't know what will be the future. For what have they got to prepare? Will the world be the same as it is now? Have we got to prepare for a world that will go on having more and more machinery, or will there come big changes in the world? Is there any way in which we should be preparing ourselves for the future? For the young people, they say.
Prepare for today. That's all. Prepare for today.
But is it the same preparation for whatever may be the future?
But according to when the future comes, according to that we can adjust. We can adjust. The world will never be the same for today and tomorrow. Totally different. There is no steady world. Every minute there is a change. Today your body is like that. Prepare a path for that like this. When your body, the proportion of the body changes tomorrow, you can see.
But you told us that there will be some great disaster that will come to the world, and that it is because man has turned so much away from the way of God that there will be perhaps punishment or lesson or something will happen to the world.
It is so. A big revolution is to come now. 2/3 of the population will be destroyed from the world. Within a period of 2 years now it will take place. A big destruction is to come now. This civilization is pent up. It cannot now give happiness to people. It will be removed.
But how can we prepare for this? Or can we only prepare, as you say, by the day? I understand that very well, because this is what our other teachers have told us.
Yes.
And but it is worrying to think.
But it is beyond our capacity.
Beyond our capacity.
Yes. If we can enter into these 3 disciplines, that will help us. Yes. No more help we can get.
Will destruction come through the atomic bomb or through some natural disaster?
War, one thing. A second thing, disease. A third thing, famine. A fourth thing, natural troubles, just like storm and the earthquake and other things. These 3-4 disasters will spoil the present population. At least 2/3 will vanish. 1/3 only will remain. Yes. Always it happens. At the end of every 1,000 years, at the end of every 100 years, we find some kind of destruction in the world. One should never fear these things, because it happens.
From a scientific point of view, it is now very likely that there will be again another ice age quite soon in the world, that we shall have the north part of the world all frozen like it used to be, because it already begins and we're beginning to have natural disasters. And from a scientist's study, it seems likely, and I have studied this myself, that we shall soon begin to have this great changes in the Earth's climate, so people will not be able to live in where they have, and the oceans will rise, and many cities will be flooded, like London and Calcutta and so on. These things, they say, will happen, according to scientific theories, in about 40 years at the most, but maybe even quicker.
You see, now Greenland, Iceland,
Yes.
these Siberia,
Yes.
Northern America, etc., all frozen now. Previously there was a good deal of population living in those places.
Yes.
By some reason, that all became uninhabitable.
Yes.
People migrated.
Yes.
Even in the place where they are living, such troubles will come.
Yes.
And the places where we cannot stay will open up.
There was a man called B.G. Tilak, you know, who wrote about this.
Yes.
He was long before.
Yes. He has studied a little bit astronomy from me.
You really?
Yes, I know him.
Oh,
yes.
How wonderful.
He was a good mathematician also. Mathematician also.
Yes, he's one of the wisest men of India.
Yes. When he was young, a few days we had to stay together. I stayed with him. And some principles in astronomy he has studied from me. Yes.
But my late wife's father knew him. He was in Baroda.
Oh.
Yes. He said he was one of the best men. In fact, he thought he was the best man he ever saw.
Yes. He is a very independent man, a very strong brain man. Yes. There is an answer for each and every obstacle. Once a snake was lying on the way. It used to bite everybody. A yogi was passing, that snake went to bite him also. He said, no, there is sin, don't bite me. He said, what is sin? He explained everything. The snake was frightened. Then he said, you don't know, now you don't bite anybody, keep quiet in a place and take the name of God. He said this and went away. That snake remained in that place and began to take the name of God. Some children were passing by that way. They saw the snake. They took stones and threw at it. And some mischievous children caught it by the tail and threw it away. It was about to die. That yogi was returning. Then the snake called him, what a man you are, what you taught me, now I am about to die. Why you taught me this nonsense? He said, no, it is your own mistake. Why you remained in that particular place? Why did you not go and stay in your hole there? Nobody would have seen you. Or I told you not to bite people. When people come to trouble you, why can't you not take your head and frighten him? I told you not to bite them, that's all. They will run away. You could not use your intelligence, that is why you came into trouble. In the same way, when I ask you to practice discipline, some such mistakes will come. How that snake got the answer. So if you will come to me, at once you will get an answer. You can avoid that. So in the beginning, a guide is most essential. It will be very good. For a developed intelligence, not so much. For others, it is essential.
Can I continue to ask questions?
Yes.
This is from an American man called Carl Schaefer. He, all his life, has suffered very much because he has felt that he had somehow in some previous life done something very bad and that he could never come to God and that he had spoilt everything, and he feels that instead of going up, he is going down. And although he tries very hard, all the time he feels that he loses. Then he gets into states of great despair, and sometimes he gets so that he can't even eat or do anything. He just stands because he is in such a state of despair. And people have to bring him about and take him to his room and so on because he is in such despair about his life. And he asked me if I could say this to you, how, if man feels that instead of going towards God, he is going away from God, what hope is there for him?
Unless only this discipline. That is the only simple thought alone has no value.
And should he really be afraid that he has lost all hope?
That just I told you, fearlessness should be there. Anybody can reach God. One should have heart. Yes.
Anyone who wishes can reach God, but if man doesn't wish,
he has no hope.
Yes. So that hope depends upon whether one has desire for God or not upon one's qualities. Even if one has bad qualities, one can still come.
Yes. Even the worst can come. Yes. Only he has to develop these three disciplines. Yes.
This other man did ask also whether all men inevitably come to God, because we have many lives. Can one with 100 or 1,000 lives come to God even if one has no wish to? Will one automatically come?
Cannot come. When you start from your home, your car will not come here straight. You should know which road to take, which road not to go. Then only you can come here. By simply living one cannot. Unless one takes to these disciplines, one cannot.
I think it is tired now, your voice, isn't it?
No, just I smoke, that's all. Yes.
Then he asked this question, what is in us? What is it in man that can know God? How is it possible that such a wonderful thing should happen to man? It is not by his nature that he can know God.
Because he directed his ways of life in a different way. That is why he cannot know.
But what is it that can know God? Is it his soul? Is it his I, his self?
This
or
I.
Yes.
Yes. That is the spirit.
Is it possible to say, he asks me this question, anything, what is this knowledge of God? But
Yes, knowledge of God, we know everything, we get everything. That is, what is the meaning of life, one will come to know. What is the purpose of life, one will come to know.
Is this the same thing as true religion, or is it...
Religion is a different thing. This is direct life, these three disciplines. Now, if you know the way to this place, you can come alone.
Yes.
If you do not know the way, you will have to take a guide.
Yes.
So if you cannot live this life directly, you will have to take the help of some religion or some teaching. That's all.
And that is the purpose of religion, to guide people who can't.
Yes. Guide people to these disciplines.
Yes, and to this village.
Yes.
He says here, it seems that by his own efforts, man can do little to change his life or his awareness of God. What are the factors in the life of a man that determine the outcome of his life? How is it that one life will give one result, another life will give another result?
Because different temperaments, different ways of life. Going to that, different things happen.
Because he says about this, how can a man face his own petty, lower nature and his emptiness? And sometimes he knows very well about the truth of what is the right way to live and the realities indicated in religion. And he feels himself so far from the truth that it seems that there is an absolute division, that there is nothing, there is no connection between us and God. We seem so far away.
It is all misunderstanding. It is all misunderstanding. One can. The right type of work one must take, it is possible.
So that man should never be daunted and frightened by the feeling that he is very far from God.
No.
And yet we are very far.
But we are that is our mentality only. We can say I am very near to God.
Yes.
Speak like positive thoughts must come.
Yes.
Negative thoughts should be left out. I am weak, I am fear, I am frightened, I am this and that. All these positive, negative thoughts must be vanished. I can see God. God is near me. I must do these things. I will reach God. Such positive thoughts are to be established in one. Yes.
This is how one's mind should be.
Yes.
Is that the power of the mind?
Yes. A mind which has developed all those virtues, that will have this power.
Then the real question, I think, that also Miss Marston asked, and it is very important for many people now in London who are practicing this sadhana of what we call subud, which you know about, and this latihan practice, which we feel and have no doubt for ourselves that it is something very good inwardly for us, but some people think that it is possible by this only, without discipline, to come to knowledge of God. Other people think that it is not possible without discipline. I think myself that it's that from what I've had experience now 5 years, that discipline is just as necessary, that although this sadhana, this practice is very good, it doesn't take the place of discipline. Is that right?
It is right. It is right.
Therefore, even if one has a form of meditation which really is directed to God without thoughts, without desires, without anything, still this doesn't take the place of discipline.
No. No.
And if one doesn't practice discipline, one will even spoil this sadhana, this
Yes. When emotions and other things will come.
They come in with much more force.
Yes.
The emotions
even can make it worse.
It can make it worse. That's what I feel.
Yes. It is so.
That's very important.
That is very important.
Yes.
One man was sitting before certain people. One very big man, the teacher of a king. He was telling me that I have no anger at all. Anger will never touch me, he said. I got up and gave him a blow on the cheek. See, you damn fool, what you are beating me, this thing and that thing. He came to beat me. He said, wait a little minute. You said you have no anger. Anger will not touch you. Where from this anger came to you? When things go against one, it will come. When everything is all right, peaceful, no anger, that is a different question. When things go against, it will come. So it is. When things go against us or something like that, all those bad natures will at once rise. Sometimes we find the ocean very calm. If a storm will break out, the calmness is gone.
And what is the way, you said many times that it is necessary for us to know our own nature. Is this done by impartial self-observation, observing oneself without partiality, without like and dislike?
It is so. The reason must prevail, then one will know.
And one must observe how one reacts, how one feels, and so on.
Yes,
but not have like and dislike about it.
Yes.
Because if I begin to observe something and I dislike this, then I am involved. If I observe something and I like it, then I am involved.
Yes.
So it will not change.
Yes.
But if I am impartial, then I can be free. Is that how it is?
Yes.
So if I have to correct myself, it is like correcting a child. One must correct a child with impartiality. One must also correct oneself with impartiality.
It is so. Exactly so. Yes. Exactly so.
This is very, very good practice, I am sure, because people sometimes think that if they are very angry with themselves, they are good people. But sometimes one can be angry with oneself and not correct oneself.
It is so. They have got some kind of course, advantage, but very little. Yes.
It is better to correct oneself without being angry with oneself.
It is so. Yes. The nature of anger is very bad. When anger comes, the whole body is spoiled. Disease and other things will come.
Is this what is called krodha?
Yes. The worst enemy of man. Even for a just cause, one should not be angry. Reason everywhere must prevail.
So that when Krishna says, when Arjuna asked what it is, he said, krodha eva, kama eva.
Yes.
It is what makes you slave.
Yes.
This means
anger,
desire and anger, or desire and aversion, is it?
Yes.
From that one must be free, even in relation to oneself.
Yes.
And then for people who haven't yet got this understanding for themselves, such people then need someone who will help them to distinguish.
It is so. Oh, see your duty, this is wrong here. It should be like this.
Yes.
Should be pointed out. See your behavior, this should not be the behavior, this should be the behavior. Like that it is to be pointed out. One sees, one understands.
But then sometimes people say, but all this must come from inside, from my own conscience. If other people tell me, it is not useful.
But in the beginning, we will have to hear from other people, then it will come from inside. Yes.
And if people are in too much of a hurry to say, I can already get from inside, they deceive themselves.
Yes, they deceive themselves. Yes. First you will have to study ABCD from a teacher.
Because many people, you know, already think, I'm receiving, because I have now my conscience awakened, I can tell what is right, and you see that they can't tell, but they won't listen to anyone.
It is all a kind of vanity in people. Yes. Misunderstandings. Yes.
And what are the things that one should never try to understand with one's mind? Is it right that one should never try to understand about God with one's mind?
Yes. Yes.
And when one is meditating on God, one shouldn't then be thinking about God.
One is thinking of God, but in an indefinite form. Yes. How? Not in a definitive way. Yes.
So that there shouldn't be like talking in oneself or thoughts going in one's mind. One's mind should be at peace.
Yes. Impartial mind.
One's thinking.
Yes.
One's thinking power.
A very preconceived idea must go from the mind. Yes.
And supposing that images, when one is entering when in this state of meditation, one begins to have images and pictures and so on, they should also be put away.
Yes, put away. Yes.
By an intentional effort.
Yes, yes.
And the way to do that is to bring oneself back always to this question. What is life? Why is life?
Yes, yes.
This question we can understand.
This is the question. Yes.
And this question of prayer, which comes up so much with us, how to pray. I feel that one simply has to put the question and then leave it and think of God, not think of God, but meditate. Is this right?
Yes, meditate. That is right.
Because you told us today that when man comes to knowledge of God, then everything else comes to him. He has knowledge, he knows whatever is necessary, and also he can do, so that his doing and his knowing become one, instead of being separated like they are in ordinary people. Does that mean then that man who has come from the knowledge of God is past misfortune?
Yes. One will have understanding, one will have power. Yes. Understanding itself is power. Power itself is understanding.
Yes, I'm sure that.
According to this atomic science now, mass itself is power. Power itself is mass.
Yes.
And these disciplines are possible in our ordinary life.
Yes.
This is
that must be possible for ordinary life only.
Yes.
Yes.
To regulate life.
Yes.
Yes.
It is for ordinary life.
Yes.
In meditation there is not discipline, because this is just wholly turning to God without, at that moment there is nothing more one can do.
Yes.
Except put aside everything
Yes,
irrelevant.
that is so. In ordinary life this discipline is essential.
So that our power of our will is for our ordinary life. It is not to bring us to God.
No, no.
Thank you very much indeed. It is very good of you, and many people in England will be thankful because they will be able to hear what you said.